It is almost game time once again inside historic Hinkle Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, and we're ready for the second NIT semifinal. Tulsa already advancing into Sunday night's final. Now the second piece to the puzzle. The Redbirds of Illinois State out of the Missouri Valley Conference and the Auburn Tigers out of the SEC in the second NIT semifinal. Good evening, everybody. I'm Seth Eaves. Thank you so much for being with us. We even saved you the best seat in the house. Well, here's how. So how did each team get to Hinkle Fieldhouse? Auburn, of course, one of the first four teams out of the NCAA tournament, decided not to decline an NIT bid. They've had some relatively close games in this tournament, only one double-digit victory. That was an 11-point win against South Alabama in the first round. Then they beat Seattle by 6 in a high-scoring 91-85 affair, and then a 75-69 6-point home win over Nevada in the quarters. Illinois State was a 4 seed. They won by 21 over Kent State in the first round, then hit a last-second shot to win at Wake Forest in the second round, and then led wire-to-wire at Dayton in the semifinals to punch their ticket in to this year's NIT semifinal. What a matchup we have here for you tonight. Again, Auburn, worth noting on their end, we mentioned it earlier, they're the only team from Auburn, the only team from a power conference to make it into the semifinals. They're the first ever NIT, first time they've ever made the NIT semifinals in the history of the program. And the Tigers under Stephen Pearl looking to cap off his first year with success tonight. In this NIT semifinal. Illinois State in the visiting red, Auburn in white, and the tip controlled by the Redbirds from Normal, Illinois. And their main man, Johnny Kinzinger, will hold the basketball, and he will get us up and running here tonight. Illinois State with the basketball continuing for the pass, cut it side and a steal, and Auburn has it. Auburn now trying to make a quick push here. Pettiford, Overton, Freeman, Hall, Jovic, the starting five. Into the hands of Jovic now, who drives inside. Jovic off the window, missed. Oh, a put-back slam to get the night started for Auburn. It's 2-0. First meeting between these two teams. Auburn at 21-16 on the year. And now a turnover. Or 20-16, I should say. Illinois State 23-12. And a 3 good. And Auburn's off to a hot start. It's 5-0 Tigers. On the CBI last year at Illinois State, they have won 6 straight postseason tournament games, national postseason tournament games, just ahead of Chattanooga, who won the 5 games in the NIT last year and then didn't make an appearance in this year's tournament, in any postseason tournament. Offensive rebound gathered in here by Illinois State. Landon Wolf has it. Now it's Clavo for 3. Good, and Illinois State is off the mark. Clavo with the basket. Now Pettiford with it for Auburn. Pettiford drives. Now trying to make the move. 5-3 Auburn, and now a turnover. It will be Auburn basketball. It will be Illinois State basketball. I beg your pardon. So it's Illinois State with the basketball. Here is Johnny Kinzinger. Kinzinger with it now. Kinzinger with it over to Wolf. Now a high post move here for Walker. Walker, 7 on the timer. Gives it up. Now on the kick out, here is Skunberg for 3. That one's good, and Illinois State now leads with back-to-back threes. Skunberg with the basket. A 6-5 lead. The Illinois State Redbirds. Auburn trying to go inside, and a layup, and good. And a good response there. Elijah Freeman driving to the basket, laying it in. And Auburn now leads by a score of 7-6. 3 minutes into this NIT semifinal. Winner to play in the championship Sunday against Tulsa. Wolf for 3. That one is no good. You have 5 guys, what, 3 guys on the team flirt with 40% three-point shooting. Not afraid to go bombs away is this Redbird team. Pettiford's going to pull. That's a little too strong. Rebound, Illinois State. Claybo with it. Over to the right wing. Claybo, and now he lost it. And now here's Auburn running the other way with it. Transition 3. Book it. Auburn now leads it 10-6. So here comes Illinois State with the ball. Kinzinger with it. He hit the game-winning shot against Wake Forest in round 2. Claybo now over to Walker. Walker with 12 on the timer. Walker trying to spin. Kicks it back out. Kinzinger a right wing 3. Nothing but net on that one. A little bit of a shooting gallery to start. It's a 10-9 lead for Illinois State. Or 10-9 lead for Auburn, I'm sorry. Here is Keyshawn Hall on the left block and a turnover. And Illinois State now has it with Wolf. Wolf nearly lost it. Kinzinger, though, with a save bang. Now over to Walker. Walker kicks out to Kinzinger, 20 on the timer. Gives it to Skunberg. Skunberg with 18 on the timer. Skunberg left wing off a screen. Skunberg baseline. Looks for help with 12 to shoot. Skunberg trying to drive. Kicks it back out to Wolf. Wolf, 6 to shoot. Wolf, wraparound pass. Pettiford with a deflection. It's going to land in the hands of Stephen Pearl. It'll be Illinois State ball when they come out of the break. We're going to keep it here to just give you a little insight on each of these programs. A 10-9 lead for Auburn at the 15:08 mark. Ryan Peden, Illinois State, they have matched or bettered their win total every season under the head coach under the tutelage of Ryan Peden. 47 years of age, a longtime assistant, was an assistant at Ohio State before taking the Illinois State job in 2022. Won 11 games in his first year, then went to 15 in his second year. Then the 22 wins in the CBI title last year. And now the 23 that he has won this year to get to this NIT semifinal. Illinois State on the season, of course. Non-conference, played USC early in the year, lost by 20 in that game. They did beat an NCAA tournament team in the non-conference. Furman lost by 5 to Utah State in Salt Lake City, a team that won its first 4 games in the conference. Went 12-8 in conference, but they were one and done at Arch Madness. Lost by 22 in the quarters to Northern Iowa. So they lost to that in that game to Northern Iowa, then disposed of Kent State, Wake Forest, and Dayton. And Illinois State, 23 wins this season. The last time they won 23 games was 2017 under Dan Muller's leadership. And they made the second round of the NIT that year. That was their last NIT appearance prior to this season. And again, their first trip to the semifinals. Their previous best before this year, quarterfinals 3 occasions. 1977, where they beat Creighton and lost to Houston. Then in 87, they beat Akron and Cleveland State before a 20-point loss to LaSalle. And then in 1996, they won over Mount St. Mary's in Wisconsin before losing to Tulane in the quarterfinal. State as mentioned, Illinois State disposing of Kent State, Wake Forest, and Dayton. Get here. Of course, they won the CBI last year. They beat Presbyterian, Incarnate Word, and Cleveland State. And then on the flip side, you have the Auburn Tigers, who drew a lot of controversy for being on the bubble despite a not-so-good record. Of course, they've had a wild season in so many ways. Of course, last year they won the 32 games, were the #1 overall seed of the tournament, lost, went to the Final Four before losing in the semis to Florida. Bruce Pearl retires just before the season starts. Stephen Pearl immediately named the successor, and well, it wasn't pretty for Auburn. They did play a tough non-conference schedule. Perhaps the only reason why, despite being one game over 500 on Selection Sunday, they were even in the mix for a tournament, playing in the SEC and playing in the non-conference. They played so many good teams in the non-conference: Houston, Michigan, St. John's, NC State, Arizona, and Purdue. The problem for Auburn was they didn't win enough of those games. They did have some good wins in conference. They won at Florida, beat Arkansas, but just never found the consistency. And then they beat Mississippi State and lost to Tennessee in the SEC tournament as Kinzinger banks one in to give Illinois State a 2-point lead. And that loss to the Vols ended their hopes. But again, they've rebounded nicely with 3 home wins in the NIT to get to the semifinals. Here's Overton. Now lob over to Sebastian Williams-Adams. Overton for 3, nothing but net. Boy, a 3-point contest has broken out at Hinkle. 13-12, the Auburn lead. Lightning start to this one. Foul away from the ball. Stephen Pearl is the head coach of Auburn. 38-year-old from Iowa City, played under his father at Tennessee. Joined the Auburn staff with Father Bruce in 2017 and is trying to get things going with this Auburn program. They lead it, trying to keep the success going. Disappointing year this year, but trying to salvage it with an NIT title. And here's a run to the basket and one for Illinois State. Finish up with Auburn. Their history in the NIT, as mentioned, their first ever appearance in the semifinal. Once made it to the last time they were in the NIT, they made the quarterfinals. That was 2009. Jeff Lebo was their coach. They beat UT Martin in Tulsa before losing to Baylor. That free throw woefully short by Tyreek Coleman. And now the other way, it's Auburn. Lay it. No, that looked like basket interference there by Lieb. Auburn still has it, still loose. Lieb then tried to throw it off the knee of an Auburn player, and he did. He was successful in that. A bit of a kooky sequence there. So here's Illinois State up the floor with the aforementioned Tyreek Coleman. Now here is Kinzinger with it. Kinzinger now over to Lieb. Left wing now. Illinois State trying to work it. Now back to the top of the key. Now driving inside Coleman. Coleman now backpedals a little bit. A little hook shot off the heel. No good from Lieb. Went for the long save and it goes out of bounds. 13:35 to play in the first half. 14-13. Illinois State on top of Auburn here. Still early days, the second NIT semifinal. Tulsa winning earlier. Now Auburn trying to work. Here is Keyshawn Hall with it. Hall spinning in traffic, and Hall lays it in. Good move. The senior from Cleveland, Keyshawn Hall, at Auburn. Now back on top, 15-14. Hall We'll get to ask it. Kinzinger at the other end. Oh, boy, he's got a silky smooth jump stroke, doesn't he? Kinzinger knocks it down, and Illinois State's back on top, 16-15. Here's Auburn with Hall. Flips it back out. Williams-Adams, left corner three. A high arcer. That's good. Williams-Adams knocks down a triple, and Auburn leads by a deuce. Now here is Coleman. Gives it to Kinzinger. Now over to Coleman. 15 to shoot. Coleman now at the top of the key. Coleman trying to move. Coleman drives, and we get a foul call here. 12-17 mark of the first half. And Illinois State again. Here is Skunberg with it. Into the lane. Walker missing. Auburn on the run with Pettiford. Pettiford went for the spectacular slam, and he missed it, but I think he got fouled. He's trying to show his hops there, Pettiford, but he needed Pierre Moss. Was about to need Pierre Moss for a flight 0 from Jersey City. Cleared for takeoff if he had finished that one. He did not finish it, though. But he will go to the line, will Tahad Pettiford. 83% free throw shooter out of Jersey City, a sophomore. Entered the night 11 points away from being the 41st Auburn player to reach 1,000 for his career. And he misses the first free throw. Good Illinois State crowd on hand. The players getting him pumped up. Pettiford had combined for just 20 points in the first 2 rounds of the NIT, but then rebounded with 16 in that quarterfinal win against Nevada. Here's the second free throw, and good. And Auburn up by 3, nearing the 12-minute mark of the first half. Coleman. Pettiford deflected it. Ball still loose. Auburn's got numbers ahead. Ahead of the pack, here's Pettiford. He'll take the easy route with an easy layup. 2 for Pettiford to build the Auburn lead to a nickel. Coleman now up the floor for Illinois State. Coleman now trying to move. He'll give it here to Landon Moore, who's checked into the game. Now goes to Walker. Walker nearly a turnover, and we're going to have a stoppage and a whistle foul here. I believe on Illinois State. We'll sort out when we get back. 11:33 to go first half. Auburn 21, Illinois State 16. We'll be right back on this NIT semifinal watch-along. 21-16 Auburn on top. Illinois State, one of the top defensive teams in the Missouri Valley. Second, only give up 68 a game. Third place finish in that solid league. Ran into that Northern Iowa buzzsaw in the quarters. Of course, the Panthers ended up winning the auto bid and represented the league in the tournament in the NCAAs. Here is Coleman for Illinois State now. He'll work it over to Landon Moore. Kinzinger works it 10 to shoot. Pass is deflected and stolen, and now Auburn's got numbers. Bounce pass ahead of the pack, and Hall lays it in. Great transition attack by Auburn, and the Tigers have built their lead to 7. Illinois State really needs an answer here. An 8-0 run for the Tigers. Moore in the paint, dumping it inside. Nice layup by Chase Walker. And 2 for the big man makes it 23 to 18. 10:50 to play in the first half. Here's Pettiford with the basketball. Pettiford now flips it to Williams-Adams. Now it's Pettiford again with 17 on the timer. Now it's going to be Freeman for 3. Too tall. Rebound Illinois State. Here's Coleman. Redbird's now trying to push now with Walker. Walker right wing. Each team 4 of 6 from 3. Walker. Walker, a little hook shot. Good. Chase Walker with a good finish. He's got 4, and it's 23 to 20. And we said Illinois State needed an answer, and I believe that would suffice. They've cut it to 3. Hall for Auburn. Now gives it to Blake Mushalek. Oh, good layup inside as Mushalek lays it in, and a quick Illinois State timeout. 25-20 Auburn with 10:03 to play in the first half. It's NIT Semifinal. We'll take a quick timeout and be right back. Ten minutes to play in the first half and a 5-point Auburn lead. Illinois State now back at the floor. Johnny Kinzinger with it. Coleman reverse layup, and it's good. Good work by Tyree Coleman, and Illinois State has cut it to 3. Auburn now with it. Here is Pettiford. Pettiford now working inside. Oh, good reverse say. Jovic, and Jovic with 2. Good layup, and Auburn back up by 5 on the nice nifty layup. 27-22, Auburn leads. Here is Coleman. Now over to Moore. Now over to Walker. Walker with 17 on the timer. Walker nearly turned it over. He did turn it over. Auburn has numbers. Pettiford lob. Look out. Oh! Showtime and ending. Keyshawn Hall. Oh, yes! 7-point Auburn lead. Kinzinger now on the move. Kinzinger in the paint. Step back, way off, clean up, and it's there. 29-24, Auburn on top with 8:37 in the first. Here's Pettiford for 3. Got it and 1. Pettiford with a chance at a 4-point play. How about that for Tahad Pettiford? Pettiford averaging 18 points a game in the last 14. And he hits the free throw, completes the 4-point play. And Auburn now with a 9-point lead all of a sudden again. Coleman. Claybo now over to Skunberg. Claybo. Now it's Ty Pence on the right block. Pence driving, fade away, and it's good. Ty Pence hitting the jump shot. The junior from St. Joseph, Illinois. He's got 5 to cut the Redbird deficit to 7. Freeman, right wing for Auburn. Now gets it into Jovic. Jovic, right block. Now handoff. Here's Pettiford. He is feeling it. A heat check 3 doesn't go. Rebound Illinois State. 1-on-1. Goes Coleman. And Coleman puts it in. Good work by Tyree Coleman. Boy, is this like a whiplash game. 33-28 Auburn. Inside of 8 minutes to play in the first half. Here's Pettiford. Hall. Now over to Pettiford. Pettiford. Now over to Overton. Right wing Overton along 3. Swish City. Kevin Overton with a triple. And the Auburn lead is back to 8. 6-3 in the first half for Auburn. Here's Illinois State now with Wolf. Now over to Skunberg. Here's a kick out. Oh, good extra pass. Skunberg, right wing 3. That one's good. Skunberg a 3. Boy, the threes are falling at both ends tonight. 36-31 Auburn. Pettiford up the floor. Pettiford, floater. Oh, pretty finish. And Pettiford with the layup, and Auburn's lead now at 7. 38-31 is the lead. Coleman, bounce pass to Pence, and Pence had it blocked. And out of bounds, and it's going to be Auburn ball when we come back. 6:20 to play first half. Our score, a wild one. Auburn 38, Illinois State 31. We'll be right back. 6:20 to play in the first half in this NIT semifinal. 38-31. A lot of fireworks in this first half between Auburn and Illinois State. And it's the Tigers from the SEC leading the Redbirds from the MVC, Missouri Valley Conference. Illinois State, of course, with a big special weekend, and oh my good Lord, Bruce Pearl and Charles Barkley with Taylor Tannenbaum. Taylor, you might as well just let go of the mic, lady. Oh my Lord. That's going to create some comments on social media. But to finish the thought up about, Illinois State, Illinois State with an interesting weekend for them. Illinois State, of course, in the men's NIT Final Four. Saturday, their women's team plays at Marshall for the WNIT Championship. Now, the WNIT is third on the ring of tournaments now. The WBIT is what the WNIT used to be. But still, it is a postseason tournament, and it's a chance for Illinois State to double their money in hardware. So the men and women. So it's not just UConn whose men's and women's programs are going for a double bit of hardware this weekend. Obviously, UConn with the bigger prizes on the line, the national championships, but still would be pretty cool. 6:20 to play in the opening half. 38-31 Auburn leading as we're set to come out of this timeout. So here's Illinois State to inbound it. Claybo looks for some help and gets it. Now here is Kinzinger. Kinzinger now moves over to the left wing. Kinzinger. And that's an offensive foul. He did push off. Coach Ryan Peden disagrees with the call. We're going to go the other way with Auburn. Auburn shooting 71% from the field. Illinois State 68%. And they're both shooting over 70% from three. I mean, this is a ridiculous pace to this one. Hall, left wing with 14 to shoot. Hall, fade away, got it. Keyshawn Hall with the jump shot. And Auburn's lead back up to 9. Last couple times Auburn's built the lead up to around 8 or 9. Illinois State's cut it back. Let's see if the Redbirds have another answer. Pitts turned it over. Auburn ahead. Here's Hall. Knifing in, no. Jovic with the follow and puts it in. Good work by the freshman from Bosnia to put that in. He's got to be holding his head up a little bit high this week after his home nation qualified for the World Cup this week. Now Auburn up 11. Kinzinger gives it to Wolf. Wolf now over to Pence. Pence kick out to Kinzinger, right wing three, short off the front of the rim. And rebound Auburn. Tigers now with numbers. Now they slow it down a little bit. Freeman, he'll take the long two. A little bit too much arc on that shot. Rebound gathered in by Claybo. Kinzinger, Pence for three. Got it. Another made three is tied. Pence drains it. I mean, 42-34. There's still 4:40 left in this first half. Amazing basketball game taking place here. Here is Overton. Overton now with a dribble. He'll give it up. Now here is Jovic. Jovic kicking it back out to Freeman. Freeman, tough two, no. Hall taps around, gets the miss, it puts it in. Good work by Keyshawn Hall. And the Auburn lead is now at 10. 13 for Hall. Here is Kinzinger. Kinzinger now feeds it back to Claybo. And Claybo is fouled by Pettiford right at the 4-minute mark. Breaking the action. Auburn 44, Illinois State 34 in the NIT semifinal. We'll be right back. 8 on the timer. Illinois State with a 3 as we come back to live action. Follow good, and Illinois State gets the basket. They're within 8. So we're inside the final 4 minutes of the first half. And coming up at halftime, quick roundup of what all is happening across sports landscape. Freeman, now Williams Adams, and he traveled with the basketball. Kinzinger with it. Now here is Illinois State Claybo. Now Walker. A 3 for Claybo in the corner. A little bit too strong. Back tap. Good save by Scunberg. Scunberg. Teardrop. Short. Kinzinger. And he took a tumble and down he goes, and a foul on Auburn. Chase Walker having a good NIT, 19-7 against Kent State, 15-4 against Wake. The point total reduced, but 13-10 was his second double-double of the year, the quarterfinal win at Dayton. As we mentioned earlier, that was a game the Redbirds led pillar to post. It was a 12-0 run they started off in that game. They made it interesting late, but it never really felt like Illinois State was threatened that much. Walker set to inbound it here. There's Illinois State with it, and got an offensive foul late for the ball. It's on Walker. So an 8-point lead for Auburn. 9th turnover for Illinois State in this first half. Here is Magwood. Now gives it to Freeman. Now here is Caden Magwood again. Overton inside. Hall. 2 more inside for Keyshawn Hall. Illinois State doesn't have much of an answer for him. 10-point lead for Auburn. For Illinois State. Wolf now trying to work it around. Now he'll give it to Coleman. 15 on the timer. Coleman now over to Scunberg. Coleman driving. No. Rebound Auburn. It's Williams Adams. Overton a 3. He wanted a foul. He made it anyway. Overton wanted the foul, but he drains the 3. He's 4 of 4 from downtown. He's got 12, and the Auburn lead is ballooned to 13. Coleman top of the key. Now gives it to Walker. Walker, that's way off the mark. And a rebound, Auburn Hall. Hall with it now. Hall working. Gives it up to Williams Adams, left block. Williams Adams, and foul on Illinois State. 15 foul on the Redbirds. So Overton now for the inbounds. Inside, no good. Rebound grabbed by Kinzinger. Up the other way, and Illinois State trying to get a basket, couldn't do it. Now it's Auburn's turn to go the other way. 13-point lead. And Auburn looking to add to it as we near the final minute of the first half. 14 on the shot clock for Magwood. Just inside the paint, takes the jumper and hits. And Auburn has hit for 50 in the first half. 51 to be exact. 51-36 the lead. Kinzinger. On a drive, slipped, and going to get a foul here. 45 seconds left. Again, the men's Final Four on our airwaves on the main channel Saturday, 6 o'clock Eastern, Illinois, UConn. And then 40 minutes after that, Michigan and Arizona. What a game. That should be two outstanding games. Coleman. Oh, what a play. What a steal on the inbounds pass by Freeman. Now a 14-second difference between game and shot clock. Auburn can milk it and try to get more points. 9 steals for Auburn in the first half. Magwood now to Freeman. Freeman backing up to the right wing. Freeman with 10 on the timer. Freeman now puts it to Williams-Adams. Freeman, 6 on the timer. Kick out. Here is Mushalik for 3. That went off the mark. The 3 misses by Mushalik. Now here's Coleman. Finds a trailing Scunberg. 8 to shoot. 6 seconds left in the half. Double teamed is Coleman. Coleman with 2. We better get it off. Coleman throws a layup up. Good at the buzzer. And that'll take us to halftime. So something positive for Illinois State at the end of the half. But Auburn really turned on the style, and they lead it by 13 after 20 minutes at Hinkle. And Auburn 1 half away from a trip to the NIT championship. Overton with 4 threes. Hall is added 15. It's Auburn by 13, 51-38. We'll be back in just a few moments. 20 minutes gone at Hinkle and Auburn with a blistering shooting display. Leads at 51-38 over Illinois State. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Something was happening back here. Anyway, it's Auburn up on Illinois State. I'll get the team right eventually. In the NIT semifinal. Of course, the prize for tonight's winner, a trip to play in the NIT championship against the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. They won the earlier NIT semi tonight. 74-69, they beat New Mexico. David Green with 13 points. The Golden Hurricane knock off the Lobos, win their 30th of the season, and go to the Final Four. Elsewhere, Kansas's Flore Badunga, who projects as a second-round pick and could be the top player in the portal amongst those that have already entered. He's going to declare for the draft, but enter the portal at the same time. So Badunga, who knows what his master plan is going to be. Elsewhere tonight in college basketball, the college basketball crown quarterfinals continuing. In the first quarterfinal tonight, West Virginia beat Stanford in overtime, 82-77. 19th win of the year for the Mountaineers. They'll play either Rutgers or Creighton, who played about 13 minutes in the second game. In women's college basketball, more news there. Awards day for the women. UConn Sarah Strong was named the Player of the Year. Shea Ralph was named the Coach of the Year nationally. Elsewhere, Iowa State's Audie Crooks entering the portal. And Stetson hires Division II Coker head coach Melissa DeVore to lead their program into the future. So that's some news happening there. Other notable news in the world of sports. In the NFL, two-time All-Pro and 2019 Defensive Player of the Year, Stephon Gilmore is retiring, while Kirk Cousins is getting yet another payday. He signs with the Las Vegas Raiders with all the expectation is that for him to be a mentor to likely number 1 overall pick, Fernando Mendoza. Baseball, mild day today. Twins beat the Royals 5-1. Braves lead the D-backs 2-1 in the fourth. Giants lead the Mets 5-2 in the third. The Pirates are going to call up Connor Griffin, their 19-year-old phenom, to the majors. Big night of the NHL. Minnesota is heading for the playoffs. They clinched tonight with their victory over hapless Vancouver. Elsewhere tonight, Montreal beat the Rangers. Florida over Boston. Tampa beat Pittsburgh. Buffalo couldn't clinch. They lost to Ottawa. Seattle leads Utah. San Jose leads Toronto. Calgary's up on Vegas. Edmonton leads Chicago. Red Wings got a big win for their playoff chances, 4-2 of the Flyers. Carolina beat Columbus 5-1. So the way the NHL standings work, the wild card playoff picture coming into focus now. The win does clinch for Carolina. They're the first team in the East to clinch, although there's still a lot of other moving parts. And in the NHL, Minnesota now joins Colorado and Dallas as having clinched their playoff places. NBA, Victor Wembanyama not playing for the Spurs tonight. They're just underway against the Clippers and trailing. Anthony Edwards sat tonight in Minnesota's 113-108 loss to Detroit. Means he's ineligible for NBA awards. Speaking of Detroit, Cade Cunningham is out at least another week. Charlotte beat Phoenix 127-107. The Thunder lead the Lakers at halftime 82-51. Soccer, the Italian football president is quitting after their third straight World Cup miss, and the aftermath could continue even more so as Gennaro Gattuso looks to be on his way out as the actual coach of the national team. Here, it's a 51-38 Auburn lead. Second half of the NIT comes your way next here on the channel. (51-38) Auburn as we begin the second half in this NIT semifinal. Second half of this NIT semifinal, we already know Tulsa is in the final. Who will play them? That remains to be seen. So Auburn getting set to inbound here with Keyshawn Hall. Auburn will go left to right in their white uniforms. Illinois State, the opposite end, red uniforms with the white numerals. Pettiford up the floor to start the second half for the Auburn Tigers. Jovic in the paint. Jovic in trouble, and Jovic stumbled and then he traveled. So not A suboptimal start at the second half for Stephen Pearl's team. And the Redbirds out of the MVC make it work. Auburn shot 66% from the field in the first half. Lead it by 13. Wolf for Illinois State. Now Kinzinger now gets it back over to Wolf. This is Clabo. And good save by Pettiford, and now into the hands of Freeman. Now it's Pettiford. Pettiford now gives it to Jovich. Back to Pettiford. 18 to shoot for Auburn. Pettiford now on the move. Pettiford, 12 on the timer. Pettiford now down to 9. Pettiford off a screen. Pettiford left it short off the front of the rim. Rebound, Illinois State and Walker. Redbirds now over to Kinzinger. Now it is Skunberg. Skunberg now gets it over to Wolf. Skunberg now Kinzinger. 13 to shoot. Cross-court pass. Wolf fires. Off the heel, no good. Walker the offensive rebound. Walker in trouble and calls a timeout, and it's granted to him. 2 left for Illinois State. Good job for Chase Walker. That definitely beats the alternative of a turnover. Be right back. (51-38) Auburn, early days of the second half here. NIT Semifinals. Earlier tonight, Tulsa, on the strength of 12 three-pointers, booked their ticket in the NIT Championship. They're trying to keep a perfect record going, if you will. It's their 3rd trip ever to the NIT Championship. The first 2 times they went, they won it in 81 and 01. They had 26 of the total against one of these 2 teams. Illinois State with the basketball down by 13. Walker gives it up now to Kinzinger. 10 to shoot. Kinzinger now over to Walker. 5 to shoot. Walker. Skunberg. Three ball doesn't go. Now gives it up to Hall. Hall with the basketball. Hall 15 points on 7 of 9 shooting. He's going to pull and hit. How about 18 for Hall? And Auburn's starting to stretch it out now. The lead is at 16. Kinzinger for Illinois State. Gives it to a trailing Skunberg. Thought about the three, then gave it to Kinzinger, and then Kinzinger turned it over. And it goes out of bounds, and the ball goes back to Auburn. Tigers out of the SEC. Really starting to flex its muscle. In Illinois State, they've got to come up with something here. Stops and scores in abundance. Pettiford now gives it to Hall, the left wing. Now it is Freeman. Freeman now over to Hall. Hall into the lane, and Hall scores. So add two more for Keyshawn Hall, and it is now 56-38. The lead for the Auburn Tigers. Now here is Kinzinger. Kinzinger, nearly a steal. Still loose, and then a foul here, and it is going to go on Illinois State, and it's going to go on Walker. Keyshawn Hall averaging 19 points a game for this season, 15 in the 3 tournament games, 20 tonight. He has really been a big factor for this Auburn team. So is the man handling the ball. That's Pettiford. Pettiford now over to Hall. Hall, deep three, and that's an air ball. Well, that's really the first thing he's got wrong all night, Keyshawn Hall. A wry smile about it. Auburn still 8 of 13 from 3. Up the floor goes Illinois State now with Coleman. Coleman now backs up. Now gives it up to Moore. Here is Coleman. Kicks it back out. Here is Moore. Moore now back to Coleman. Straight away three, good. They're going to need more of those to fall. They had a lot of them that fell early. And Tyreek Colbin's first 3 of the night, he's got 11. Back to a 15-point game. Pettiford with it now, gives it up to Jovich. Jovich now Overton. Here is Hall underneath, and too easy for Hall. Lays it in. He's got 22. And the Auburn lead now at 17. Illinois State with the basketball now. Here is Coleman. Coleman on the right wing. Coleman looks now. Gives it up to Pence. Pence. Oh, good pass inside. But Wolf had it rejected by Pettiford. Too big and too athletic. Auburn on the run. Pettiford a 3 from the right wing. Bullseye. Timeout, Illinois State. Auburn's lead is at 20. And they are now taking a big step towards Sunday night's championship game. They lead it by 20 at Hinkle. We'll be right back. 15:30 to go, 15 and a half to go roughly, and all Auburn in this NIT semi, 61-41. Fadeaway jumper for Illinois State's Ty Pence. It's no good. And Auburn's just going to keep running. Long pass, too long for Williams-Adams, and it'll go out of play. Sorry, I forgot to get the clock going there. So 20-point lead for Auburn. Pence working with it now. Now here is Moore. Foul here. Ball's going to belong to, or goes out of bounds, the ball will belong to Auburn. So Auburn with it now. Here is Williams-Adams. Lob now, Hall left block. Hall whips it around. Too high for Freeman, and out of bounds it goes. And Illinois State will have possession once again. So 14:25 left. Auburn, 5th straight year of at least 20 wins. That was clinched when they beat Nevada in that quarterfinal. Here is Coleman. Pence on the left block. Pence trying to drive in. Pence. Oh, blocked by Pettiford. Loose ball, and Auburn's got numbers. 2-on-1. Oh, my goodness. Elijah Freeman. That's a moment he'd like to have. I think he hurt himself. He was trying to go up to the dunk. Like he kind of double-clutched and hurt his knee. It's like he pulled something in his knee in the process and is slowly trying to walk back up. He might have been fouled, the sophomore from Palm Beach, Florida, who previously applied his trade at Division II, Lincoln Memorial. Freeman's a 71% free throw shooter. So Freeman to the line where he is, again, 71% foul shooter. Freeman averaging 17 points and 6 boards in the last 2 games. And he makes that free throw. Second free throw is also good. And with 14 minutes to go, it's now a 63-41 Auburn lead. So here's Illinois State now up the floor. Skunberg with it. Gives it to Moore. Now Coleman on a drive. Another block by Pettiford. Now Hall on the run. 3-on-2. Went for the trailing pass. A little showboat play behind. And then a foul. And a foul as Illinois State was trying to start the fast break. Was it of the offensive variety is the question. Auburn shooting 66% from the floor. Illinois State, 47% is not terrible, but when you turn the ball over as much as they have, it can lead to some not so good things. And that not so good thing in this instance against a team shooting like Auburn is a 22-point deficit. Hall to inbound, gives it to Williams-Adams. Overton driving and missing off the heel. However, he does get fouled. The former Texas Tech Red Raider junior out of Oklahoma City. He's an 87% free throw shooter. Entered this game averaging 17 points in the first 3 games of the tournament. Again, Auburn with wins over South Alabama, Seattle, and Nevada to get here after going 2-3 with the SEC tournament, beating Mississippi State before losing to Tennessee. First free throw is no good. Illinois State one and done. Their one game at the Missouri Valley tournament, a loss to Northern Iowa. They have responded by eliminating Kent State, Wake Forest, and Dayton in this NIT run. But it's looking like it's going to end here as Overton makes the second. 13 and a half still to play. And Auburn leads it by 23 over the Redbirds. Coleman now over to Moore. Kicks it out now. Oh, good fake. Scunberg on the right block. Scunberg, long 2. Off the front of the rim now. Wolf. Largest lead of the game for Auburn at 23. Hall now over to Overton. Williams-Adams. Williams-Adams spinning around. Now here is Coleman. Scunberg, transition 3. That one is in and out. And goes into the hands of Overton. Hall up the floor for Auburn. Keyshawn Hall with the basketball. Pettiford now gives it to Hall. Hall trying to back up. Hall going to take another 3. This one is no good off the left side of the rim, and into the hands of Wolf it goes. Here comes Illinois State. Redbirds now trying to push with Walker. Give it up to Coleman. Oh, good pass inside to Walker. A little whirling dervish there from Coleman to get that pass to Walker, and Walker gets 2 more. He's got 10 on the night. 64-43 Auburn as we near 12 minutes to play in this NIT semifinal. Here is Keyshawn Hall. Hall now over to Overton. Now it's Hall. Wraparound pass. Here's a 3 in the corner, and that one off the mark by Mashalik. Auburn got it back, though, on the rebound. Overton a 3, of course. Everything falling for the Tigers tonight. 11:39 to go. Overton is 5 of 5 from 3. And a quick timeout, Stephen Pearl. That'll get us to the end of 12. 11:39 to go. Auburn in command, 67-43. They lead against Illinois State. 11:39 to play. 67-43 Auburn. First trip to the first NIT semifinal appearance, and looking pretty good for it. Trying to make it perfect, if you will. Charles Barkley and Bruce Pearl on hand. Of course, Bruce, his son, of course, coaching Auburn, and Barkley, of course, the Auburn star. Of course, he's in town doing his national television work for the NCAA tournament. Again, mentioned this in the first game. Haven't really touched on it much in the second game, but if you're a college basketball fan, there's no better place for you to be in Indianapolis this weekend. It starts, of course, the college basketball weekend as a whole, it's great. If you count the crown of the WBIT, we got a lot more championships, as Wolves fouled shooting a 3, so he'll go to the line. Out of Cedar Falls, Iowa, is Landon Wolf, who has made 39 of 87 in his last 22 games. Entered the night with 14 games of 6 or more rebounds this year, 10 double figures. Played the first 3 seasons of his collegiate career at Northern Iowa. First free throw good. But yeah, in Indianapolis, of course, tonight it's the NIT. Then Saturday, you've got the men's Final Four at the Big House, Lucas Oil. UConn, Illinois, Michigan, Arizona. Then on Sunday, the Pacers Arena, the Fieldhouse there, that's the place to be. The Division II and Division III men's championships, as well as the final of this tournament. And then Monday night, back to Lucas Oil for the men's basketball championship. And of course, big weekend as Wolf makes the second. The Crown in Las Vegas, whether your opinions on that, regardless, it is some basketball. I've mentioned Illinois State. They're playing the WNIT championship at Marshall on Saturday. And then, of course, you got the women's Final Four in Phoenix, which we'll have tomorrow. There's Tubby Smith in the stands. Cameras find him. What a great coach and a great man he is. He had to be happy watching his alma mater have the success they had this year, High Point University. Pettiford, back to Williams-Adams. 3-ball, good. Sebastian Williams-Adams with a 3, and Auburn now leads it by 24. Auburn 11 of 18 from 3 tonight. Pence now gives it to Wolf. Now it goes into the hands of Kinzinger. Kinzinger now meanders right. Now it goes back to the left. Nearly lost the handle of it. Wolf drives and scores. Good work there by Landon Wolf. And he scores on the lay-in to make it a 22-point game. 5 now for Wolf. That's his first made field goal tonight after he just made the free throws a minute ago. Magwood back to Hall, top of the key off a Jovic screen. Hall losing it, and foul on Illinois State. Here is Jovic. Inbound, Magwood. Oh, the friendly roll off the front. That's when you're in front of the rim and in. Caden Magwood, that's when you know you're living right. It's when you're the halfway point of the second half. And a 24-point lead for Auburn. Kinzinger. Right wing. Trying to move. Kinzinger. Lob now over to Walker. Bounce pass. Wolf. Missed the layup. Puts the follow in, but a whistle before that. And a foul against Auburn. Wolf makes the first free throw. First second free throw is good. And it's now 72 to 50 Auburn. 9:45 to play. Lob, and Walker tumbles towards the Auburn cheerleaders over there. Illinois State now, here is Coleman. A 22-point game. Coleman now over to Ty Pence. Now gets it back to Wolf on the left wing. Now it goes back over to Scunberg. Scunberg. Walker, double team. Walker in trouble. Coleman, a crowd near him. That leaves somebody open. That somebody is Ty Pence, and he drains a three. 9 minutes to go. Back to a 19-point game. Here is Hall. Now it's Pettiford. Pettiford over to Jovich. Jovich, 10 on the timer. Jovich inside. Misses the layup. Rebounded by Walker. Illinois State now with Coleman. Coleman. 8.5 to play. Lob inside. Walker. And we've got a foul. Or did it go out of bounds first? 8:26 to play. So, actually, it is Auburn ball now. Nearing 8 minutes to go. 72-53. The lead for the Auburn Tigers. Now another foul. 8:16 left. $8:16 to play. Hall to inbound. Jovich. Hall drives. This is a layup. Rebound, Illinois State, Brandon Lieb, and now, I believe there was a foul before that, maybe? I don't know. It is Illinois State ball is Landon Wolf. Will inbound it out of the, will inbound it here. Walker on the bench getting a break. He's had a good NIT, 16 points and 7 boards in the NIT. Another turnover. Hall drives, misses, and it gets into the hands of Pence. Pence up the floor for Illinois State. Pence, and a pass deflected, and that'll take us to a break. 7:49 to go. All Tigers at Hinkle. Auburn 72. Illinois State 53. We'll be right back. 7:49 to go, and a 72-53 lead for the Auburn Tigers over the Illinois State Redbirds. At Hinkle Fieldhouse. Great action here. Early, at least, it was fun to follow, but Auburn just too much on offense. And Illinois State just couldn't keep up, but the turnovers have proven to be very costly. And why Illinois State looks like a good season for them is about to end with their 13th loss of the season. Inbounds pass to Tyreek Coleman. Now gives it to Wolf. Pence. Now it's Coleman on the right wing. Coleman on a drive. Off the window. No. Rebound skied out of the air by Hall. Auburn now running again. This is Pettiford. And Pettiford blocked. Good block by Brandon Lee. All 7-1 of them with that nice block from behind. It'll stay with Auburn, though. Inside, and I'll look for two more, and a foul. And Gilbert looks to be in a little bit of trouble. We'll go to the line. The freshman, as I mentioned, he is from Bosnia and Herzegovina. A big sporting week for that country, of course. Dramatic penalty shootout win over Italy to seal their spot at the World Cup in the U.S. or North America this summer. He had 18 points in the Nevada win as he makes the first free throw. 9 of 12 shooting. 9 rebounds. Second highest output of the year was in that game. His Sprees was in a conference game against South Carolina where he scored 23. Jovic is too strong on the second. And Illinois State gets the rebound. 7:20 to play. Redbirds down by 20. Coleman and Jovic. A turnover, and now Auburn has it. Oh, a lob. And Jovic! Oh! Phillip throwing it down. And Auburn's lead is now 22. Scunberg to Coleman. Long three. Good. Tyreek Coleman drains the long triple. 75-56 Auburn. As we approach 6.5 minutes to play. Coleman, the freshman from Aurora, if he can stay at Illinois State, can be a big part for them next season as they'll try to compete in that always fun and competitive Missouri Valley Conference. Inside, Lee kind of altered that shot, and then he got the rebound off the miss. Coleman, Wolf nearly stolen. Now Coleman on the right wing. Coleman looking, 17 on the shot clock. Coleman drives, good bounce pass to Pence. Pence needs help, gets into the form of lead. Timer's at 9. Scunberg with 7 to shoot. Scunberg with 4. Scunberg from the right block. No good. Scunberg got the rebound, though, and put it in. Good finish for Scunberg. And it's a 75-58 game with 5:47 left. Odin Scunberg, the former North Dakota State player. Pettiford with it here for the Auburn Tigers. Now he'll give it to Hall. Hall kicks it back out to Williams-Adams. Hall driving and missing, but he'll go to the line because of a foul. 5:25 remaining in the game. First free throw up and good from Hall. Second one rattles in. Coleman stepping back. 3-ball, another make. Well, Illinois State trying to fight to the end here. 17 points for Coleman on 3 of 3 shooting from downtown. It's now back over to Pettiford. 13 to shoot. Here is Pettiford. Jovich. Williams-Adams, corner 3. That one is good. Sebastian Williams-Adams, nothing but net. Well, a lot of these threes aren't even hitting the rim. 80 to 61 now. 4.5 to play in Indianapolis. Coleman up the floor for Illinois State. Give and go. Coleman a 3. That one is off the mark. Rebound gathered in by Hall for Auburn. Now it's Pettiford. Across the midcourt strike. Pettiford has it. Pettiford now trying to go around with it. Pettiford now to Jovich at the top of the key. Jovich. Knifes inside and adds 2 more to it. Jovich with 2 more off the land. He's got 9, and Auburn's lead is now at 21. Coleman, the top of the key. Coleman working it now. Giving it back now to Scunberg. Scunberg, fake, give. Coleman, 3. That's a little bit too strong. Rebound going to be gathered in by Pettiford. Pettiford now to Overton. 12 to shoot. Overton now to Williams-Adams. Now here is Hall on the left block. 6 to shoot. Hall cross court. Here's Pettiford. Another 3. In and out. Illinois State up the floor now. Scunberg with it. Scunberg now to Walker. Walker inside. Count it. And the foul. And a chance at a 3-point play. And we come back. 2:59 to go. Auburn. Looking like they're heading for the NIT final. They lead at 82-63 against Illinois State. We'll take a break and be right back. 2:59 to play, 82-63. It's all Auburn is on their way to the championship game of the NIT. It would appear you could start sizing up Auburn and Tulsa, which will be an interesting matchup. As we told you earlier, they met in the NIT back in 2009. Auburn won that game en route to reaching the quarterfinals that year. Well, Auburn's going to have a lot of players for Tulsa to watch. Obviously Barnstable's a big man, but I'll tell you what, Reed, he stepped up late, but Reed is going to have to really be on it. If he starts slow like he did tonight, Auburn might be less forgiving than New Mexico. Walker to the bench, 13.7 rebounds for the junior. And now we'll see if he stays at Illinois State or maybe hits the portal. Who knows? You can never be sure. But if Illinois State's got a squad that if they can stick together, Clabo, Kinzinger, and Walker would all be back. Coleman and Pence. Now, again, you can't bank on everybody else staying in this modern day, but they've had a really good postseason run the last 2 years. 22-plus wins in each of the last 2 years. Again, they've matched or improved the win total every year under Pedrin's tenure as Jovic adds 2 more. But for Auburn, up by 20, and for Illinois State, won the CBI last year. Nothing to hang their heads about. A great run in the NIT. Won on the road at an ACC team. Won at Dayton, which is not an easy thing to do. Dominated that game as far as the time they never trailed, including a 13-0 start. A foul here, 2:13 to go. So, good seasons for Illinois State and New Mexico, but it's going to be Tulsa and Auburn on Sunday for the NIT championship. 2:13 to go. Coleman to inbound for the Redbirds. Long pass lofted towards Skunberg. Skunberg kicks it back out. Here's a trailer for 3, and that is an air ball. Wolf went for the save, bounced into the hands of Pence. And Pence, Illinois State's got a fire though, 3 to shoot. Desperation 3 off the heel from Skunberg. Loose, scramble, and if it's a tie-up, the arrow favors Illinois State, and that is indeed the call from the officials. Held ball, so it stays with the Redbirds. Minute 50 to go. Again, big day again tomorrow across our networks. More live streams for you. We'll have Coventry City and Darby County in the championship. A big game. Coventry chasing promotion there. We'll have hockey tomorrow night as well. Flyers and Islanders. That's a big one. And, of course, the women's national semifinals. South Carolina, UConn at 7 and 30 minutes after Texas, UCLA. Skunberg catch it, shoot off the inbounds pass. No good. Magwood to the rebound, and he'll slowly dribble it up the floor as the final 100 seconds tick away, and Auburn about to head to their first ever NIT championship game against a team that has won it twice in their history. Magwood now to Shallak. Now here is Jovic. Oh, that's a good spin. And some icing on the cake from Jovic with a 2-hand stufferino. Lead now at 22. Coleman, right block, kick out to Pence. Pence on a drive, now finds Skunberg. He'll take a 3 from the left corner, and that is way off the mark. Rebound Auburn, Williams-Adams, as we are now into the final minute of this one. As Auburn about to head to the finish line of this one. And a timeout, Stephen Pearl, my guess is to just get some more subs into the game for the final 58 seconds of this NIT semi. Well, again, Auburn they much prefer what they were doing at this time last year, getting ready to play in a Final Four game, but they would have loved to have been in the tournament, but the coaching staff, players, management said, you know what? Nothing can change that. Nothing can set, and nothing we can do is going to put the naysayers wrong. All we can do is play more basketball and try and win games. And that's what they've done in this NIT. Walker down to Michelle. Now it goes back to Magwood. 16 to shoot. Magwood, boy, he is having some fun there, just putting his defenders on skates. 3 off the mark, no. C.J. Williams, and they'll get the 2 with Reed Trapp. And the bench goes crazy. And here is an easy dunk for Pence at the other end. 88-66. And now up the floor here is Mashalik. And Stephen Pearl says, no more. No more. Shot clock's the same as the game clock. No more. Just let it run out. And the Auburn Tigers, their 21st win of the year. It's not a sexy record, 21-16, but win 21 is going to be the one that keeps them in Indianapolis for a couple more days. And they'll have one more game left in their season. Making the most out of making a silver lining and making the most out of a not-so-good situation. Coleman, the half-court heave, hits the front of the rim, no good, and that's it. Auburn makes the most out of its situation and has reached the final of the NIT. They go to 21-16 on the year. They'll play Tulsa Sunday night at Indianapolis for an NIT crown and a chance to end their year on a high. As Auburn wins it, they blew open a close game late in the first half, and then into the second half, they just ran roughshod over Illinois State. A good year for the Redbirds, but it ends in disappointment here with the final score from Hinkle Fieldhouse in this second NIT semifinal. It has finished Auburn 88, Illinois State 66. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to both watch-alongs tonight of the NIT semifinals. I'm Seth Eaves. We thank you for tuning in. So long, congratulations to Tulsa and Auburn, who will play Sunday in the NIT championship. We'll be there. Hope you are as well.